one of the biggest mistakes we see is cutting calories too fast and cutting calories too aggressively. And so understand that ultimately you have to go as low on your calories as you need to see weight loss. But that's not the goal, right? Like if you're eating 2,000 calories, we don't drop down to 1,000 calories because we know, fat loss is going to happen.
The magazine in the store told me to.
But again, back to the real goal when dieting is how much food can I possibly sit on so I can consistently hit that goal and be adherent and create that deficit. And so how we do that is incrementally over time. We say, okay, if my maintenance calories are, 2,200 calories, well, I'm going to start with a 10% deficit. I'm going to drop my calories and then I'm going to hammer that goal over and over. 2 to 3 weeks later, we're going to assess and see what's happening.
Right.
And so, hey, has the scale moved? Understand the scale may or may not dictate. So also how, are there changes in pictures? Are there changes in measurements? Because again, the scale's not always going to tell the full story. I remember I had a client that she lost 10 pounds. And when you put the picture side by side, it was over the course of, we'll say probably 10 to 12 weeks. And it was it looked like she had lost a significant amount of weight. And yet the scale was actually the same because she was also gaining some muscle. We were having body, recomp happen. And so, it's don't always rely on the scale, but, okay, 10% deficit. We have that data. We've seen what happens 2 to 3 weeks later. Okay. If the scale doesn't do anything, if
nothing's changing, right? Yeah.
Let's go on to a 15% deficit and then rinse and repeat.
But you also can go back up too if you find that it was too aggressive. Because sometimes people just, again, impatience or just not realizing you may have reduced too much and then you start getting really hungry. Because that's the problem with cutting calories too fast. You start feeling really poorly because you're not getting enough food. And so, your energy drops, your performance drops, your mood drops, you're super hungry. In that case, I would say maybe go back up a little bit because you want to be cutting on the highest amount of calories that you possibly can eat.
Also, too, it's I would be curious to know for you, at what percentage of a deficit are you personally hey, maybe we're not in a place to diet. Maybe we need to dial food back up and go back to things. What is that number for you personally?
If we and even with clients too, if we've spent time at maintenance and okay, we're spending time at maintenance, we've been maintaining and stuff's not happening and we've cut 20% off the diet, we gonna stop. Because the thing is that should elicit, if we go lower, it's a zero-sum game at this point. We keep going lower. We're going to keep getting it. The lower you go, the more restrictive your diet has to get because you just can't fit the things that you want to fit in there. How you feel starts going in the tank. You start having not a whole lot of energy and it just gets very, that's where people start to experience the most diet fatigue is when calories are very low. They get sick of it. They're over it. And so, once we get to that 20, 25% mark, if nothing's happened by then, we got to look at something else. We got to look under the hood. We got to evaluate. Maybe something is not maybe we're not, tracking as close as we need to, or something's going on, but that should not be the case for sure. So.
Well, and also it's for so many people, again, we decide we want to diet and we just rip the Band-Aid and do the thing. But again, it's well, hey, actually, we had some symptoms that told us we're not feeling $1 million before we started dieting. Well, we know that when we cut our calories, metabolism's going to continue to downregulate accordingly. Your sex hormones. So it's were we in the place to diet before we ripped the Band-Aid?
Bro, when I was dieting pretty hard to get pretty shredded, man, I'll be why is my penis not working? Why is my wiener not working? And that shit happens. And when you start noticing that, you may have cut calories too low. You may have done it.
Dude, that's so like I would say sex drive and your menstrual cycle and your morning wood, or again, like your on bedtime wood, whatever we want.
Nothing going on.
Spaghetti. But yeah, it's like there again, just back to the education, like you don't know what you don't know. But it's like if you follow people that do bodybuilding shows, like that's a thing where it's like, hey, listen, like if you got a significant other and they're going to be showing their booty on stage, like you ain't get laid during that that period, right?
Just curious, what's the lowest percentage wise you've cut to like be in a deficit? And I mean, obviously, and maybe even before you even knew better, right? Like,
I think the worst one I did was way back. This was like 2014, 2015. I bought one of the templated nutrition plans from a very popular nutrition company.
Okay.
And I remember the big aha was it was when I started getting into macros and I actually macroed out like how much I was eating. And I will like give credit where credit's due, like the templates that they do present day versus, where it used to be way back in the day, totally a night and day difference. Like you ain't eating shit. But I remember it was like, it came out to, hey, you're 5'3", so you ain't eating much food. And it was
probably like thousands.
1,000, 1,100.
That sounds about right.
Well, dude, fast forward, it's like, I know I need 2,200 calories, in a day. To be doing the thing, right? But it's like, I remember, again, it was like I was still very early in my nutrition journey, but I remember I felt like dog shit. And so I was about due, like I usually pull my thyroid, my hormones and all that every, I'd say 3 to 4 months. And so it was literally the lowest I've ever seen my thyroid values, which that makes sense, right? It's like I wasn't eating food, therefore my thyroid down regulates, and it's saying like, hey, bombs are going off, save me. But it's like, it's like a lot of people don't realize those symptoms of, hey, like this is why we can't just chronically diet 24/7, 365. I would say that was probably like the worst, because again, it's like a lot of my disordered eating and a lot of that happened before I knew of macro tracking. So it's like I've been tracking my macros since probably 2012. And if you're not familiar, tracking your macros just means how much protein, carbon, fat, and calories you're getting in a day. So it's like I didn't start that until a little bit, later post college and stuff like that. So it's like probably been, like I said, I would claim like 9 or 10 years of tracking macros. At this point, because again, it's like now it's accountability. For me, I tend to lean towards the personality of I just don't eat enough food. So it's helpful for me to just be like, hey, dummy, like we doing the thing. And, so it's like, I'm one of those people, it's like, I love tracking and I find freedom in tracking my macros pretty consistently, because when I don't, left to my personal devices, like I'm gonna starve myself on accident. I'm gonna be busy. I'm gonna get stressed out. But I used to be the opposite personality, where it was, like I said, it was like I was always restricting. So I was always spiraling about food. I was always having those outings where I'd be like, oh, I'm overeating, or, I was under this impression that I might have like a binge disorder. It was truly just, I was under eating, and then my body is forcing me to overeat. So I would say definitely like that's probably like the two biggest ones is for sure. Like I was eating zero food. Like I was 92 pounds at 5'3" when I found CrossFit. So like we were struggling. We were not living our best.
I mean, I've seen pictures, for sure. But pictures of you. We should,
but again, it's like, you don't know what you don't know, right? But it's like fast forward present day. Well, I eat at maintenance more than I do anything else. And I now understand, hey, yes, I'm 5'3" and yes, I am short, but that doesn't mean I don't deserve to eat the food. And again, you'll understand it's like, yes, we can say at a base level, the taller you are, the more food you probably need to eat in a day, to fuel yourself.
But you're also super active.
How active are we? But, again, it's
and
like,
I just always tell people
all the things, but it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, please don't ever discount, because this was the trap that I fell into, was it'd be like, I would see these CrossFit Games athletes and it'd be like, oh, well, I'm training, 11 billion hours per day, 5 to 6 times a week, but they'd also be 5'8", 5'7", 5'9". And so it's like, well, hey, I'm not training that much and I'm a lot shorter. So I don't deserve to eat that many calories, and it wasn't until, again, I kept exploring and I actually tried it. I was like, well, shit, man. Like, actually, I just have a high it's like my baseline and my maintenance needs for whatever reason. And it's a combination of, yes, I have a lot of muscle after a decade of, lifting and training weights. Yes. I love being active. It's like we love training, we love doing the most. But it wasn't until that personal exploration of like, oh shit, well, like, yeah, like my maintenance calories are, maybe I do need more food than these athletes that are bigger than me or training more than me or whatever. But it's like that exploration part is so important, because again, it's ultimately why I spent years and years and years under eating, was I thought that my maintenance calories were a lot lower, than they indeed actually were.
Yeah.